saw me scribbling in the pews. But this is not really a sermon that I feel ready to give. I feel very challenged. Jesus says, no one puts a hand to the plow and looks back. No one that puts a hand to the plow and looks back is fit for the kingdom of God. What? Why would he say that? It's striking. But then I had to think, okay, what are the other things that Jesus said? Who is this Jesus that I know, and what could he possibly mean by that? And another verse came to mind. It is easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich person to enter the kingdom of God. So, I don't know if you can see where I'm going with this, but I think that this whole thing, all of these readings today, but especially the gospel, are about more than plowing, and they're about more than committing to a task. No one who puts a hand to the plow and looks back is fit for the kingdom of God. My first thought, taking it very literally, is like, oh, well, if you start plowing, you shouldn't stop. I think there's more to it than that, because we all know we need rest, and we need to love our families. I don't think the literal interpretation is quite on it. I think it's about committing to each other in the community of God's dream. And so, I think it's about challenging privilege. All over the gospel, the message to the powerless is to become empowered. And for the people who have the power, to listen, to give up their possessions, to give away their power, to give away their illusions of self-aggrandizement, and to join Jesus in the margins with the people who don't have any other choice but to be there. But oftentimes, where we are privileged, we are also blind. And how can we be a community if we cannot even see each other? So this weekend, on Friday, when Roe versus Wade was overturned, I was in shock. It's not that I didn't know it was coming, it's just outrageous. But in that moment, I said some things, and I was called out. I learned there are things that I didn't have eyes to see and ears to hear. A friend of mine, a Black woman, rebuked me, and I am thankful. And I am still unpacking all of that. But I think I can see, at least, that I had put my hand to the plow and looked back. I participated in this collective sin because I was unaware of my privilege, certain aspects of my privilege, as a white person in America. So, who gets to stop plowing when it's convenient? If the path to social justice is hard work, long work, like plowing, who has to stay and plow because their life depends on it? And who gets to get distracted? Who gets to be satisfied with incremental change and go home? I'm a white person. I have privilege there. I'm also a queer person. I have not privilege there. We all have places in our lives where we benefit from injustice, and other places where we're hurt by it. I'm definitely tired of having to fight for trans rights in a world that just seems to refuse to truly see us. In June, it can feel like everyone is in the fight with us. And then, on July 1st, we are left plowing alone. This pattern of abandonment is deep and painful in the history of racial politics in the United States. When white feminists won the right to vote, they packed up and went home. leaving their black colleagues who had fought with them the entire time, who they didn't get suffrage for decades after. Imagine what would have happened if the white women had stayed and said, wait, what about my sisters? I'm not leaving until we're all free. After Black transgender women of color began the LGBT rights movement, they too were abandoned by white gay men and white lesbians who were satisfied with incremental changes. To this day, in states like Wisconsin, there are more protections under the law if you are gay than if you are transgender. It is more taboo to be black and gay or black and trans than it is to be white and gay or white and trans. Imagine what would have happened if the privileged had stayed and said, wait, what about my siblings? I am not going home until we are all free. And then, in the battle over reproductive health care access, most white people with uteruses went home when Roe v. Wade was passed, because they were confident that they would have access. But we know the reality is that abortion access has never been equitable. It has never been fully available to people in rural areas, to poor people, to people of color. Imagine what would have happened, how Friday might have been different if we had all stayed in the fight until everyone had what they needed. Our privileges hide from us the truth that injustice anywhere is a threat to freedom everywhere. When are we going to internalize the reality that all humans have needs, and we will all be better off if we are committed to helping each other get our needs met? This gospel does not mean don't rest. And it doesn't mean to stop caring about your family. But it does mean that we should start examining the reasons we carry for why we don't realize every one of our fellow human beings is our family. It takes effort to function as a family. To me, family is a combination of being frustrated and confused by someone, and yet staying open and curious long enough to ask them what's really going on here, so that we can come to a better future together. It means listening when I am a powerful parent and encouraging my shut-down child to speak. It means that we stay in it together and we don't leave our family to do the plowing. And then when the work is done, we can rest together and we can find joy together. That is the beloved community that I believe that Jesus is pointing us to. A community where no one is left behind.